Donald Trump has spent nearly all of this week ranting and raving like a lunatic, whining and crying about the fact that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, outsmarted him. And let's be real here, that's not exactly the hardest thing in the world to do, but what Jack Smith did, as I'm sure everybody knows by now, is rather than waiting for Donald Trump to slowly work his way through the appellate process with Judge Chutkan's claim that he's not immune from prosecution, Jack Smith just said, let's cut out the middle courts, take it right to the Supreme Court, and on top of that, I need you guys at the Supreme Court to go ahead and grant me an expedited hearing on this so that we can, get things rolling. And the Supreme Court said yes, and Donald Trump got pissed. So every day this week, Donald Trump has gotten on Truth Social to complain about the fact that he got outsmarted. And even though Trump's not admitting that he got outsmarted, deep down he knows exactly what happened. But here is one of Donald Trump's latest deranged posts. So deranged Jack Smith, the Biden-appointed nutjob prosecutor with a big record of loses because he goes too far, wants to rush to the Supreme Court on the important matter of presidential immunity, something which is so basic to America that it should be automatic. Nutjob, how is he a nutjob? That's what I want to know. I know we're never going to get a clear, straight answer from Donald Trump, but you're saying this guy's a nutjob. You're saying he's deranged. Could you maybe stretch that out for us a little bit and give us some kind of example of what you mean? Or you don't need to because your base just blindly accepts everything you say as if it's, gospel truth here. But Trump went on. Here's another one. Smith doesn't want to go to our highest court with a loss or negative opinion, but what he does want to do is interfere with the presidential election of 2024, hoping to damage Biden's political opponent. In other words, he wants to cheat. Because if they really wanted speed, they would have brought this ridiculous lawsuit 3 years ago and it would be long over. But no, they waited and brought it right in the middle of my presidential campaign, the definition of election interference. For the millionth time, bud. They couldn't have brought this 3 years ago because they actually had to do an investigation. Jack Smith's only been the special prosecutor for, actually, as of today, 13 months. 13 months. Okay? So you couldn't have brought it any time before then. And then you have to go through the process, right? You do the investigation. You impanel the grand jury. The grand jury votes on indictments. Then you indict. Then you go through the initial hearings. Then you go through discovery. Then you set a trial date. Then it goes through appeals. These are not quick things, and you know that. But your base doesn't. That's why Donald Trump is able to get away with saying these stupid things that anybody with a brain understands they're not true. Anybody with a brain understands that's not how the judicial system works. But Trump's not talking to people with brains now, is he? So he rants and raves and whines and cries, acting like he's a big tough macho man, but really he's a terrified, immature brat who is facing accountability for the first time in his life in so many ways. In all these cases, whether it's the civil lawsuits or the criminal ones, he is facing accountability for the first time in his 77 years on this planet. And that is what terrifies him. What terrifies him even more is the fact that Jack Smith, the judges, the other prosecutors, they've managed to outsmart him and his bargain barrel lawyers every step of the way.
What are you doing? It's over. The video's over. I'm done complaining about everything, and that's it. The end. Leave. Well, okay, if you're going to stick around, maybe you should give us a like, a comment, a share, or just subscribe to stay connected with all of our content. Or maybe you should consider becoming a member for some exclusive content and perks. Just follow the link in the description. Now, go. Just go.